everyone on the disc knows the legend of Eleanor of Sort, or at least everyone knows a legend of Eleanor of Sort, or Cynix, or Ilharib. Ask most people and they'll tell you that she was the cause of the Sortian Wars. Of course, ask most people and they'll tell you Patrician is a kind and unbenevolent man. Never trust what most people tell you. The real cause of the Sortian Wars was a little-known goddess called Erata. It was of the wedding of Plura and Thea and Pyramids of blah 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 blah. Suffice to say, it is being goddess of misunderstanding. She wasn't being officially popular, especially at weddings. Something vengeance. It's too fast. Fight between. In return, Assortia gave Eleanor to Rome, even though she wasn't hers to give, which was typical of the gods, and resulted in an extramarital confusion blew up in the Sortian Wars. The carnage that followed the Sortian Falcons was lost, perhaps forever. Oh, it's a pun on the Maltese Falcon. Sortie's flash on. Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see where the Soul Reaper stuff goes. Oh, look, it's under a killing moon.
I've had some bad days since I started work as a private investigator. But I'd never woken up dead before.
Is that Rob Brydon? It's not stupid enough. I've never woken up dead before.
It all started the week before on a
I'm gonna have to restart this. Bloody subtitle speed is stupid. Exactly the same in the other two Discworld games. It makes no sense. Also fucking loud. Cut that there.
I've had some bad days since I started work as a private investigator. But I'd never woken up dead before. It all started the week before on a cold and wet Sectober day in Ankh-Morpork, the oldest and most depraved of all the cities on the Discworld. But hey, you've got to love it. I'd been working as a PI for a little over a month, and business was slow. Hiring an investigator to look into your business requires trust. The amount of trust in Ankh-Morpork wouldn't fill a cup. And it's a small cup I'm talking about. Sure, people trust that you don't get on the wrong side of the patrician. People trust that you don't walk into the shades alone. People trust that the Assassin's Guild will fulfill their contracts or double your money back. Yeah, people even trust death. Just don't ask them to trust their mothers.
Mr. Lewton?
If I'm not, I should fire the guy who painted the door.
So this is what a private investigator looks like. I expected someone more heroic.
Heroism costs extra. What can I do for you, Miss...
Mrs. actually. And the name is Carlotta.
Okay, Mrs. Actually. Carlotta it is. What's a girl like you doing out in a night like this?
I want to hire you, Mr. Lewton.
Please, call me Lewton. Mr. sounds so formal.
How much do you charge for a simple investigation?
I don't know. I've never had a simple investigation. A tricky one is 20 a day.
I'll give you 200 in advance, plus expenses.
Oh,
200? Yes, I should treat you with some
hey, Amy Cat.
Oh, I wouldn't ask a guy
I'm a
like you
cat
to
just
attempt the
subscribed.
impossible.
Oi,
What's the
whiskey
case?
actually.
I want you to find
What's
a
up?
man named Mundy.
How are you?
Why do you want
Thank you
to
so
find
much for
Monday?
23
You know
months.
No, and this case will go
That's
a lot
insane.
faster if you let me ask the questions.
You like to be in control, don't you, Lewton?
If you don't pull the strings, then you're the puppet. Tell me about you and Monday.
I've been a lonely woman, Lewton.
You amaze me.
Be surprised.
Shocked, maybe, but not surprised.
Mundy is my lover, Lewton. Or used to be. He's been away for a while, over in Sort. He came back to Ankh-Morpork a couple of days ago on the Milka. But he didn't come to see me. I think he may be having an affair. You're wondering whether my husband knows about it.
Actually, I was wondering when you were going to give me the money.
My husband passed away several years ago.
I hope the poor guy was smiling at the time. Is there anything you can tell me about Monday that might help me find him?
He's got blue eyes, brown hair, and a black heart. You'd like him.
Has he got any friends in Ankh-Morpork?
Does anyone?
How tall is he?
I don't know. I don't picture him standing up.
What was Monday's business in Sort?
I don't know. I never asked about his work, and he never told me.
Must be a very straightforward relationship.
As simple as they come.
Where can I find the ship he came in on?
Down at the wharf.
Have you been there yourself?
I avoid places like that. Women and seamen.
Forget I asked. This is a bad neighborhood for you to come into alone, Carlotta.
I can take care of myself.
I believe you.
Good. Trust is important.
I said I believe
Yeah, it's totally Rob
I
Brydon.
never
Hey,
said I
Trans.
trusted you.
Don't you like me, Lewton?
I like a lot of things. I like dogs, but I wouldn't trust one not to bite me.
I won't bite.
Shame. I haven't been bitten in a long while. I'd better get started on your case. Where can I contact you?
I'll be in touch. Be seeing you, Lewton.
I hoped I would see her again, because she still hadn't paid me. Still, it wasn't every day that a beautiful woman offered me a case. Frankly, it wasn't often that anybody offered me a case. And 200 would certainly help pay the rent, if I had anything left over from my bar bill. All I had to do was track down Monday and tell Carlotta where he was. I could hardly carry the desk around, even if I wanted to. I had purchased a large indexed scroll rack to keep track of all the cases I was going to handle. The Monday case made it 2.
Right, scanning.
A lot of strange things had happened to me since becoming a private investigator. But the weirdest was the irrepressible sensation that the most important thing for me to own as a PI was a door with my name painted on the glass. Some
Yeah,
mysteries
Rob
are
Brydon's
best
been in
left
all the Discworld
unsolved,
games,
I
yeah.
guess.
And Eric Idle was in 1 and 2.
I'd purchased the imp-powered coffee bean machine from Cut-Me-Own-Throat Dibbler, the man whose name was the byword for quality. With CMOT Dibbler, you could say bye to quality. I'll say this for the ICBM. It made coffee strong enough to blow your head off. On the downside, the imp tended to use most of the beans to fuel its own addiction. Some days the poor thing was so jittery the coffee machine would vibrate off the shelf. Nothing like a cup of imp-made coffee to make me jittery and paranoid. I think we could safely say that the door to my office was just for getting in and out of my office.
Okay.
Sapient pearwood comes from a plant so magical that it is totally impervious to all forms of magic, and so valuable that thieves have cut each other's throats to own it. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford a desk made out of it, so I made do with pine. It's a nice desk, though.
Yeah. So we want to go to the docks, right? The wharf, yeah. I quite like how the places that you can go to are sort of like highlighted. Like sort of grey.
The wharf was on the upmarket side of the river, in the city of Ankh. The Morpork docks on the other side of the river were not a place wise travelers disembarked at. But then again, wise travelers tried to avoid Ankh-Morpork altogether. But if you traveled a lot, it was hard to miss. Like malaria. The Milka was a tramp schooner, one of the many ramshackle ships that plied their trade around the Circle Sea. From the looks of it, it should have sunk years ago. Even the rats thought twice before boarding it. The first mate wasn't as hostile as I might have expected, but he wasn't particularly helpful either. The Milka was a from a crate. What more could I say? I couldn't tell what the crates contained, and frankly, I didn't much care. Outgoing cargo wasn't going to tell me much. I needed to know whether Mundy had brought something with him. The sailor was busy loading the ship, and I decided not to disturb him. The sailor... Something told me I wasn't... Are you the first mate?
Ah, shiver me timbers. Hoist the main brace.
Let's start again. Are you the first mate?
Aye, that I be.
You're not going to get any money off me, so you can drop the fake accent.
Sorry, you know how it is. Some people are stupid enough to fall for that sort of thing. What can I do for you?
When?
As soon as we've got her loaded.
How much is passage?
Where are you looking to go?
I don't know. Sort, perhaps.
We've just come from there. It'll be a long time before we get back there again.
Did you bring any passengers?
Sure. We always try to take a couple of passengers. They pay their way, and if there's a big storm, they are very useful as to sacrifice to the angry sea gods. Of course, we tell people they were washed over the side.
Well, safe voyage, if that's...
Oh, that was goodbye.
Not for much.
When do you sail? How much is passage?
Okay.
We always try.
What were the passengers on the last voyage like?
There were 3 of them. One of them seemed all right, but the other
Free
2,
stream
I don't know about them.
burgers.
There
Oh,
was
you
something
streaming
strange
tonight?
about them.
What you streaming? I was reading chat and not looking what I was clicking, to be honest.
Do you sacrifice passengers often?
No, the captain doesn't like it. He says it's bad for business. I said that we were advertising ourselves as offering an exciting tour
Yeah.
to the Circle C. But he pointed out that most people would expect the tour to be above the water. If
Nice.
I had my way, we'd have thrown some people off the last voyage.
Bad omens?
The whole crew had a bad feeling of dread from the moment we set off.
Looking at the state of the ship, that doesn't come as a surprise. The first mate hadn't been able to tell me much about the other passengers on the Milka, but he did know that there was something distinctly foreign about one of them. Beautiful, Carlotta was worth a stare. She was trouble. Carlotta had hired me. At the beginning, that was pretty much all I knew about it. The Milka was the tramp's. I suppressed the urge. I was broke, sure, but I wasn't that desperate. I suppressed the urge.
Okay. Oh god, keyboard controls, they weren't lying.
Something I couldn't.
Am I doing something wrong? I feel like I was supposed to ask about the people in the notebook, but it didn't do anything. And I read the instructions and everything! Okay. Oh. Hello.
On an ordinary night, I'd sit around waiting for business. But this night, business was coming to me, and bringing trouble with it. Business, I didn't mind. But trouble was an unwelcome guest. And like all unwelcome guests, it was hard to ask it to leave. And by the third day, it was generally wearing your shirts and leaving its stuff in your bathroom.
Hello, Mr. Lewton. I've been expecting you.
I should hope so. This is my office. How'd you get in?
Through the door. It was only locked. I know all about doors.
Good. Use this one to get out.
I have a message for you, Mr. Lewton.
I don't take messages from strangers.
Then let me introduce myself. My name is Mr. Al-Khali.
I don't take messages from dwarves named after cities.
My name isn't important.
You seem to think it was.
I've come to warn you to stay clear of the Mundy case.
I'll bear that in mind. Now get out.
If you don't stay clear of the Mundy case, something untoward may happen to you.
This is Ankh-Morpork. Something untoward may happen to me whether I investigate this case or not. Now either you get out or I'll throw you out.
Don't say I didn't warn you, Mr. Lewton.
Don't say I didn't ignore you, Mr. Al-Khali. A dwarf named after the Klatchian city of Al-Khali. And a threat. This case was getting more interesting by the minute. All we needed was a troll and a member of the undead, and we could open an ethnic comedy on Broadway. I could hardly sapient pair. It's a nice. The crates on the... A crate. Still here?
Not for much longer, I hope.
When do you sail?
As soon as we've got her loaded.
How much is passage?
Where are you looking to go?
Sort.
We've just come from there.
Did you...
Sure, we all... Of course.
God damn it.
Still here. When do you... What were the passengers on the last voyage?
There were 3 of them. One of them... The captain does...
The dwarf had tried... What?
Doesn't ring any bells, I'm afraid.
Oh,
What do you
Pick
know
once.
about a dwarf named Al?
that's what it is.
Doesn't ring any bells, I'm afraid.
Right. We know how to ask questions now.
What do you know about a woman named Carlotta?
Doesn't ring any bells, I'm afraid.
What was strange about these passengers?
I don't know. One of them seemed kind of foreign. I mean, more foreign than most.
Was there a man named Mundy on the last voyage?
It's funny you should ask that. You're the second person today to have an interest in Mundy.
Who was the first?
A dwarf. He didn't give his name. I don't think he was from round here, though.
What about Mundy? What was he like?
I don't pry into the passenger's business, but for a man who came on board pretty happy, he seemed pretty unsettled when he left. Not that I blame him. Something was definitely amiss on this last voyage.
Do you know where he is now?
Mundy? No. Like I said, I don't pry into passengers' business.
Unless you actually look through their luggage after they've been washed over the side.
Hey, what are you inferring?
I'm not inferring anything. I'm implying that you might have had a look at their luggage at one point.
If I had, I certainly wouldn't admit it to you.
Which either means you didn't look, or you didn't find anything of interest.
You better watch your steps, son. It's not good to make accusations like that.
Don't worry. Anything we discuss is strictly between you, me, and anyone else I tell. Since that was who I'd learned about that from in the first place, I didn't feel I had much to gain by going over old ground.
Okay.
This is the Milka, isn't it?
That's what it says on the prow.
It's impossible to read anything written on that hull.
Just because you can't read it doesn't mean it isn't there. Reality is subjective, after all.
Don't get all existential with me.
It was more ontological than existential.
That's a really bad habit you've got there.
What? Oh, sorry. I picked up a bad case of philosophy in Ephoebe a couple of years ago, and I haven't been able to
Ephoebe,
get
that's how
rid
you
of it
say that,
since.
okay.
Just can't seem to shake it off. Normal as anything one minute. Next moment, I'm wondering if anything can truly be said to exist. A bit of a drawback when you're supposed to be navigating.
Okay. Assuming the existence of an objective shared universe, is this the Milka?
Yes.
Can I have a look on board?
No.
That better not be some kind of philosophical objection.
No one gets on board without Captain Jenkins' permission.
Where is the captain?
I don't know. But you could try the Cafe Ankh. He usually goes there when he's in Ankh-Morpork. If it exists, of course.
New location. I'm enjoying this. I like the whole questioning style. This is I love the notebook as well. Keeps track of everything. You don't just have to be like, talk to person. Maybe you'll have a thing you can ask them. It's like you've got all the things that you could ask, like, laid out. I wonder when this came out in relation to Grim Fandango. There we go. Alright, I have to finish promptly on time today. Right. They must have both been in development at the same time. I can't imagine this had a year-long... Only a year of development. Well, I don't know, because I know that Grim Fandango was an original idea that Tim Schafer had for a long time before it became a game. Because I've seen there's a video where he goes through his notebooks on the Double Fine channel. I don't think that this whole game seems based around this concept of it being a noir game, like, you know, like a noir film pastiche. Were there any like movies that came out that re-brought up the genre around the mid-90s? Was it like a fresh concept in people's minds? Was it being parodied? What year did Blade Runner come out? Blade Runner was in the 80s, wasn't it? You already know up to 1995. Would it be before then? Yeah, Blade Runner was in the 80s. I don't know. Just, it seems interesting, doesn't it, that two point-and-click adventures in the year of each other, both of which were the first 3D forays into 3D, are both noir-themed games. Hello. Our first important item.
The golem wouldn't notice that the crowbar had gone missing. Not that I'm saying it didn't need it, just that I'd figured I'd get away with stealing it. The cart was being loaded with barrels of wine. Apart from the wine, I can't say I was interested. I knew full well that I wouldn't be able to get down there without permission and the right key. I guess I never really noticed that the Cafe Ankh had a wine cellar before. Perhaps if they'd run out of drinks at the bar, I'd have been more inclined to investigate.
Flubber, that must have done it.
You can't go around jimmying every door open just because you can. Besides, I liked Samael, and I drew the line at breaking into the cafe's wine cellar without his permission.
You can't recall if the whiskey knocked you flat, or if everything was a blur when you met her. All that you remember are the tunes of a vampire, a melancholy tune about impending doom. I'll fetch your tankard, fill it to the brim. A cask of stale, broken drum ale. Wondering how long till you meet again on the bank of the Ankh. Too much to drink, you could barely even think. Too much bear hunger.
I thought I told you never to play that song again.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Lewton. It's just I wasn't expecting you to call by tonight, and...
You weren't expecting me? It's only been 8 years, Samael.
I guess my memory ain't what it used to be.
I don't know why Samael put up with my temper. He could have broken every bone in my body if he'd wanted to, but that's what made him special, I guess. That he'd take almost any kind of abuse from the clientele, and he'd still be there at the piano, playing better than anyone else in Ankh-Morpork.
A very visually appealing stream layout. Thanks. I made it myself. A good Battenberg. Hey, if I'm gonna be compared to any kind of cake, Battenberg's pretty fun. Hey, it's Nobby.
Hello, Nobby.
Hello, Lewton. How you been keeping?
I've been worse. Of course, I've been better, too. And I've been a hell of a lot better and not much worse.
That's good, isn't it?
Don't worry. If Commander Vimes sees us together, I'll tell him I made you talk to me.
It's not that I don't like you, Lewton. I mean, we was friends and all. But it's just, well...
It's just he'd bite your head off if he saw you talking to me.
He'd go spare.
How you been keeping, Nobby? How's the rest of the watch?
Not so bad, Lewton. Been keeping myself busy. Been working with Sergeant Colon.
How is old Fatty Colon?
Still fat. I'll tell him I saw you.
No, you won't.
Okay, so maybe I won't. I was just being trite.
Polite.
Yeah, that's the one.
I guess I never really understood why it was that you didn't get kicked out as well, Nobby.
Me? I ain't never done nothing wrong.
Don't give me that, Nobby. When you were serving as quartermaster under the Duke of Pseudopolis, it was widely known that several items from the stores were found in your kit.
That was all above board. I had all the paperwork for him.
Your kit at the time consisted of 2 warehouses. I just think Vimes had a grudge against me.
Lewton, I know you're my friend and all, but you took a bribe.
Are you trying to tell me you never took a bribe?
Never.
The ham from Harga's House of Ribs?
Evidence.
The pocket clock from the Suicide in the Shades?
I wanted something to remember him by.
The money in the petty cash box?
Mislaid by someone.
Misappropriated by you.
I never misanthropated anything.
I just want to understand why it was that you could get away with all your petty theft, and I couldn't get away with one act of weakness.
Well, you see,
Just say it, Nobby. I'm not gonna hold it against you.
well, I reckon Mr. Vimes thinks that a bit of petty theft ain't something to get excited about. I ain't admitting anything, mark you. Nothing's ever been proved. Got compared to some of the stuff that goes on in this city. But someone who's taken a bribe, well, that's like allowing the rich to avoid justice.
That wasn't why I did it.
I know. But you know Vimes.
Yeah, I know Vimes all right. What's Vimes up to these days?
He got married.
Married? He was only ever married to his job.
Nah, straight up. He married into nobility.
Old Stoneface in the nobility. That'd drive him crazy.
Well, he's sort of nobility himself now.
What?
They made him commander of the watch. And we got a great new premises down on Pseudopolis Yard. They're full of paintings and vases and all sorts.
Full?
Well, maybe not as full as when we moved in, but pretty full.
I'll have to call round sometime.
Yeah, that'd be good. We got a lot more members in the watch these days. And we got a new dartboard.
Life in the fast lane, huh? Do you seriously think it's a good idea for me to call around? I mean, Vimes isn't gonna like it.
Whatever you may think about him, he's loyal to his job. I can't say he'll welcome you with open arms, but he won't stop you.
Do you know anything about a man named Mundy?
I'm not getting drawn into anything while I'm off duty. Wait till I'm back at the yard.
What do you know about...
I'm not getting drawn. Wait.
Okay.
Can't this wait till I'm off?
Tempting as it was, I decided not to start attacking people with the crowbar.
Oh, go on. All right.
I'll catch you later, Nobby. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, don't get caught doing anything I wouldn't do.
Yeah, it does that. It hasn't quite settled in yet. I got it all cut off because it was just too bloody hot with all that hair. It can't be stopped. So you call it a spring onion? A pianist.
I decided not to disturb Samael while he was working.
Oh, thanks, Tino.
The pianist, Samael, was one of Cafe. Not only was he a first-rate musician, but there was something about him that made you think it'd be a bad idea to start any trouble. My old friend Nobby from the Watch. I hadn't spoken to him in ages.
I just realised that there's dynamic shadows going on in this. On the player character. And some self... Like, and a little bit of self-lighting. On the... I think a lot of these are baked in, but there's a little bit. A little bit of self-shadowing going on. Coal. What?
The captain of the Milka, Captain Jenkins, didn't seem to be a very happy man.
No, well, let's bug him.
Are you Captain Jenkins?
That depends on who's asking.
Don't play games. I'm just after a few answers.
That song really put you in a bad mood, didn't it?
If you're trying to get me angry, it's working.
No need to get upset. You need to drink more and think less.
If I drank any more than I do now, I'd never think again.
That's the ticket.
So, you're the captain of the Milka.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately?
Ordinarily, I'd be happy
Oh, I need to
captain of
finish.
fine shit like the Milka. But after this last voyage, I'm thinking of taking up farming.
Tough journey?
I don't want to talk about it.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed half an hour of that. I think that's going to be the next pickup for the stream, to be honest.